I will open the meeting of the Bennington School District Board of Directors this evening because it is the organizational meeting. This is the meeting following the election of new board members, that there is a reorganization and a nomination and voting procedure for the officers of the Board of Directors, the chair, assistant vice chair, and clerk, and committee members to be assigned. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Jackie Prue and Kelly Kennedy on their election and Jackie's reelection, and let you know that nominations are now in order for the chair of the Bennington School District Board of Directors. Yes, George?
I would like to nominate Ken Swihart as chairman of the BSD board.
Are there any other nominations?
I'll second that. And then I'd like to nominate George as vice president.
We'll do the chair first. Thank you. Are there any other additional nominations for chair?
Call the question.
As there are no other nominations, would board members like to vote by acclamation to elect Ken Swihart as chair of the Bennington School District Board of Directors? Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Ken, you are elected by acclamation, and I will turn this over to you.
Nominations for...
So I'll pass out ballots if there are more than one. So you'll do the vice chair, clerk. Then we have board two. They can only vote once for one person. They can't vote more than once. And then the alternate. And then
Can we have more than one alternate? I thought Sean Marie said you could have more than one alternate.
No, only one. And I'll explain that. You can ask me to explain that part when we get to it. And then after you're finished with committee assignments, motion to give authority to sign warrants, or cast the motion. So if there's not a board meeting, we'll cancel them. Okay?
Okay, can we have nominations for vice chair, please?
I'd like to nominate George Sleeman.
Any second?
Who was it?
Second.
Second. Any other nominations? Seeing none, all in favor of George?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Next, nominations are in order for clerk. Now, the clerk, main duty is to take minutes when our secretary isn't here. And Jackie has respectfully declined this, 'cause she's been doing it for a few years now, and she really doesn't want to do it. 3 years, okay. So can we have another nomination? Someone like to be secretary?
I'd be glad to make a nomination, but before I do that, is there anybody that'll accept it without the nomination? Seeing none, I'll nominate Claude.
Second.
Okay, any other nominations? Seeing none, all in favor of Claude for secretary? Clerk, excuse me.
Clerk.
Okay, unanimous. Okay, now we have Southwest Vermont Supervisory Union Board of Directors, and Sean Marie Oler, the chairman of this SVSU, at the last meeting of the state board, had a change made for Bennington that all the districts are going to have 2 regular representatives instead of 3, but we will also have a third person, which will be the alternate. Now, all 3 can go to the meeting, but only 2 get to vote on issues at that meeting itself. Okay, so what I need is, first of all, people interested in serving on the SVSU, and I think it's going to be on the 4th Wednesday of the month will be their meeting.
That's
time.
right, at 7.
At 7.
Fourth Wednesday.
Okay, I'm interested myself of being on the board.
I am.
Jackie?
Claude said he was.
Okay, Claude?
George.
Anybody else?
Was that George as well?
George, yeah. There's 4
Okay,
people
so
interested.
Ken, so we have Ken, Jackie, Claude, and George who are interested?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So-
let's, I think we should vote first for the 2 representatives first, and then we'll have you have 4 names to select, and you can select up to 2. And you can only write one of the names down once. You can't write the same name down twice. No, we have to make it clearly, and we want an honest counter here, and is there any way you can give us one sheet of paper we can write both names on? That way you'll know that the person didn't write down twice.
Well, I can collect.
We can write it down on one page, I can write two names on this sheet of
That's
paper.
fine, hey, it's big enough, you can write two names on
Yeah.
it. Just use one piece of paper.
Okay, use one sheet of paper, write down the two names.
And, let's see. Gail Johnson, would you help me count the ballots after I, thank you.
Oh, you don't need help with this, Catherine. Remember, you're writing two names for two representatives for the SVSU.
She's gonna take them from us. You didn't listen, George.
Thank you. Marie.
And while you're waiting for that.
Yes.
To save time. Typical board organization, I need a motion to authorize the officers of the board to approve interim board warrants between regularly scheduled board meeting dates.
So
Board-
moved.
Board of Directors will affirm the warrants at their next regularly scheduled board meeting.
All right, so moved. I nominate Ken.
Well, it's the officers, whoever the three officers you elected are.
Okay. I
She-
moved
she
it.
I know, you need
I'll
a second.
second.
I'll second.
Then you gotta vote it.
All in favor? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You guys must always get it, because they never called me.
So we have.
Neither, no more, because it's once
Are
a
you
month.
ready? You
Yes.
finished your other,
Yeah.
Ken and George.
Okay, now we're gonna have a slip and you write one name down for the alternate.
Were you accepting other nominations or interest in alternate? Ken,
Who's offered? Yes, who's offered?
Jackie and Claude are the
So we have to
two.
vote for them.
anybody
the
else?
two.
Okay.
I need a sheet of paper.
You had to.
No, they only gave us one. We
I'll
have
make
to
it my
sign
own.
Oh, you guys only had one?
Yep.
They need paper down here.
Kathy, we need paper.
Kathy, we need paper.
I made
I
my
didn't
own.
realize. Sorry, Jackie? Did
No,
you-
they
oh,
did.
they did. I'm sorry, that's right.
George didn't get it either.
Yeah, thank you.
George.
I got it, thanks, Marie. Thank you. Did you get flowers?
Good get a chance to vote for yourself.
Claude with 4, Jackie with 3.
Congratulations. Claude.
Okay. Okay, now we have several committees that we need people to serve on. First, the Policy Committee. This meets on, what is it, the second Wednesday of the month? And it's in central office, and they work on new policies the district is setting up, and they go back and review old policies that need to be updated. Anybody interested in serving on the Policy Committee? Okay, Claude did serve the last year, and you're still interested? Sure. Anybody else? Okay, we'll put Claude on the policy. Food Service. I think, does this meet regularly, the Food Service Committee?
Semi-regularly on third Thursday of the month, I believe.
And no more than once a month, right?
Right, and, yeah, right, next year, it will be no more than once a month.
Okay, anyone interested in that?
Who was on that one
Are you
previously?
interested?
Claude's gone.
Marie?
What exactly
No,
is
it was
it?
Marie.
This
No,
is the
Marie was
advisory
on.
committee to approve service in the Broad Area School.
Sure.
Okay, Kelly?
I have a conflict.
Okay, here's an important one, technology. Again, before they hired the technology, but now integrating technology into the curriculum, not only is it buying software, but I'm sure working on training and all that other stuff. Anybody interested in technology?
When's that meet?
You know, Rick, when that meets?
I can.
Well, you
The
used to wear it.
technology, Frank Barnes has an SVSU technology committee that writes and revises the SU technology plan for submission to the state and to guide our purchases and instructional curriculum. And it has community members, board members, professionals, and technicians.
Do you know a date that they meet? Jackie was wondering. too.
I don't know the dates and times because right now they're not on a regular schedule. But it's usually late afternoon. And I imagine that Frank will find out who is interested in being on the committee after these elections, and of all the boards, and call people and try to coordinate it with their schedules. That would be my thought
Okay.
about how he will run that.
Okay, Jackie volunteered to serve on that one.
Thank you,
Anybody
Jackie.
else interested? Okay, Jackie. Now, here's a good one, teacher negotiations.
We will be starting likely at some point, perhaps late spring, summer, because their contract ends in 14.
Anybody interested in teacher negotiations?
I'll nominate George.
No, excuse me.
He
I-
just
I
did.
can't- I can't because I have a conflict of interest, but I would nominate Ken
And I'll
Not
second it.
again.
Their appointments.
if no one else wants it.
Does anybody else want it at all?
I think so,
Paul?
after position.
I think Paul's doing ESP.
I was gonna
Oh,
stay on the ESP
all right.
if that was possible.
Okay, great.
Okay, I'll
You
do
do
it. Yeah. Are they gonna start during this year coming up?
They have already, the ESP.
No,
that
I'm
what
talking about teacher.
Yes, that's what she just said. They're gonna start.
No,
this
no,
year.
ESP is starting this year. Possibly late spring, early summer, we might be starting with the teachers,
No,
but
they
their
have-
their
in their-
contract ends next year.
But in their contract, we were supposed to be meeting shortly after we settled for parts of it, weren't we? If I remember right.
I'll check that out,
The-
Jackie.
Theoretically, they'll probably start in August,
Yeah,
be my guess.
Okay.
yeah, I said late spring
All
or
right.
summer.
I'll take it. And ESP, Paul, you're gonna continue with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. That fills up the,
And then the administrators, did you get? I'm having trouble hearing down this end.
okay, we have policy is Claude, food service is Kelly.
Yep.
Technology is Jackie, teacher negotiation myself, ESP, Paul, and administrators negotiation, George.
Okay, great, thank you.
Right? You're all done anyway, for 5 years.
And you have a building committee,
Yes, the facilities, George and Paul. Okay, thank you, everybody, for volunteering for those various positions. Okay, next item on the agenda is citizens' comments. Yes?
Hi there, my name's Lori Mulhern, I'm a resident of Bennington, and I'm coming to the board this evening in regards to special needs. As you all are aware, recent events have really brought it to the forefront of our district, and I am here to say, I can't tell you how many emotions came through my family when we were made aware of this situation. We have felt frustration. Even the word distrust has come up, anger somewhat, but most importantly, it's huge concerns regarding the safety of our most vulnerable student population. We have been coming to the boards, both at BSD and SVSU, for months. We have made numerous suggestions. We have brought to the boards, different boards' attention, various issues that we know exist in the schools, different schools, we all have our challenges. But what is really apparent here is that we've had a catastrophic failure of our special need program. I feel that we need strong leadership here. I feel that we need policies put in place, procedures, processes, training, and above all, the safety and the well-being of these children must be at the forefront, in addition to them receiving an education, that they can hopefully leave their high school environment with the life skills necessary to be independent adults. I know that the special needs students are often attributed to the increase of our budgets. However, I also know that ineffective use of that budget money also creates increases across the board. I urge each and every one of you to please, seriously, look at what's happening, do something about it. We have come as far as we can come as parents. We have raised them as best we can. We have sought resources outside of the educational facilities. We have talked to state representatives, support groups. We have felt like we have done everything we can. We can't change this alone. We need each and every one of you to reach out to these children. They were born this way. They didn't deserve to be treated with, if anyone is, with any kind of disrespect. They are not in charge of a lot of the behaviors that they may exist. They are not in charge of their deficits. This is what they were born with. And we love them for each and every one of them, despite how every decision we ever make as parents is affected by them. And I just ask, please, do something now. I don't want to see any more children struggle or become escalated or not receive the education that they need. I want them to be successful, and I know you do too. And without your help, we can't do it alone. Reach out to this parent group. The Bennington CPAC wants to have input into special needs programming, policies, and procedures. We feel we can bring so much valuable information to the team. It's these partnerships that we crave. We can't do it alone. It takes the whole community to raise that child, whether they have special needs or not. And I truly want the success of each and every one of our students, not just those with special needs, but I do know that there are some that need a helping hand, some that have to be taught the most basic of skills. And to be honest with you, I feel that my child deserves that attention, both of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Yeah.
My name is Tara Sky. I am the mother of a child at Bennell. Obviously, I'm outraged by what happened at Bennell on a personal level, but more importantly, it doesn't speak to everything that's happening. It's one isolated incident, and I'm just another parent saying I'm having the same frustration getting anybody's attention beyond an administrative level at the school. Just, I call central office, I don't get return calls. I'm finding it hard to make sure that I'm doing my job as a parent of a special needs child when I'm up against so much resistance from the school, right on through staffing issues that have affected my child as well. I think that needs to be addressed, staffing issues, not, I hear all the time that's a personnel issue, we can't really address that, but I think we really need to start addressing the personnel issues that are not just at Bennell, but especially at Bennell. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Ken, I would like to hear from our superintendent in some response for these parents to let us know where we are, where we're going, what we can expect. Well, I'd like to hear it tonight.
Would the board members like that?
Yes.
To me to
Yes.
address-
That'd be good.
Yes.
Thank you. So, Catherine McClure, Superintendent of Schools. And what I will tell you, what I can tell you, is what has been in the paper about this issue that has come to light from an audio that was concealed and taped by a parent about interactions with children. Obviously, we are, as you know in the paper, involved in an investigation. I am conducting that investigation with urgency, fairness, thoroughness. You know from the paper there are people on administrative leave while the investigation is happening. And it's important that, for confidentiality reasons, that I do that in order that it can be a fair investigation, but also a thorough investigation. Those investigations are happening as we speak and have happened. One of the delays in doing such an investigation is the length of the audio, because we want people who have been involved in the investigation to be able to hear the entire 7 to 9 hours. So that does delay, in some regard, the investigation as we do it, because we want to make sure that we are allowing that due process of people to listen to that. So I can give you full confidence that the investigation started immediately on my receipt of the audio, which was from the newspaper at 9 p.m. on Wednesday, the 27th, or 26th, 27th. So that is ongoing, and it is being conducted by protocol and by law and by collective bargaining agreements. And I give you full confidence that it's being done well and with the urgency that I can give it. The other issue, and Lori and I have gone back many times, and I do appreciate her nudging me. We have collected the notes from all of the meetings that parents have attended to bring light to concerns about special needs of their students. And I have a list of parents. You'll remember that at the late November meeting or early December meeting, December meeting, December 10th, Sean Marie Oler, who was chair of the SU board, said that she was appointing a committee. In following up with her and with the discussion of the professionals that had been in those groups with parents, it was decided that all parents should be involved that had come to the board, not just one or two to represent the whole group. So that's what we're organizing now, and I expect to have a date by the end of this week out to parents. I know that is also urgent. We've had some other personnel issues, as you know, prior to the one that has just occurred in the paper. We had an issue through January, in February, December, of a personnel issue at MAU, and it was quite well publicized, so you're all aware of it. But those two things are tasks that are in progress, and I have a commitment to see them both through with as much urgency as I can.
How can it be a 9-hour video or recording when it's only 7 hours in the school
They
day?
started the recording.
2 hours prior.
No, we have 7 and almost 8 hours at school from the time students come and leave in that. So you've got a little bit from before school and a little after.
Catherine, thank you for your presentation. I wanted to ask this. Why does it seem to be taking us as a school district so long to get anything going on? Because we've heard from these parents going all the way back months ago. And yet, here we are this evening, and I don't think we're that much further ahead.
Well, actually-
What seems to be the holdup with our getting moving on this thing?
Well, we are moving on it, and I have met, as you know, through budget season to develop with the professional staff that work with children with complex disabilities to look at program improvements for this population that the parents were addressing, as well as another population. And in fact, your budget increase, you know well, is partly from the program improvements to the most severe of our complex disabilities to those who are fully mainstream to give support. So there has been work. Those positions have been put in the budget, and unfortunately, we're at a state where we need to relook at the BSD budget. But as far as the SU budget and the buildbacks to BSD for those specialized programs, we have been working. We haven't been ignoring this, and I've also pulled in resources. Lori and she's been a great nudge, honestly, in the positive way of reminding me, not letting me forget. So I'm intending to get that together. The issue is, because it's so important, I wanted to handle it myself and having to deal with, as far as bringing the parents together. So I hope you can appreciate that.
Catherine, can I ask you a question? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
He had his hand first.
Go ahead.
While the incident at Ben Al certainly, I hope, is an isolated incident, what's being done to make sure that it is just an isolated incident?
Well, that is part of the investigation, is really to look at all of the aspects of the case in terms of protocols and how we handle things. So I think that, it is an unfortunate thing that has been reported. We cannot validate at this point the offense as it's a confidential matter, so I can't give credence right now to any of it. I can't validate any of it, but we are investigating it thoroughly, and it is of great concern the way it's been portrayed. We have safety of our students first and foremost. That is our first concern, and I think from the statement that was released, I emailed all of you the statement that I released to the media last, and it says that if there is misconduct and if it's found to be such, people will be disciplined, and I will be reporting at the conclusion of that investigation, as I am allowed to by collective bargaining agreements or law, and I will report back on what I can report back.
Is this an SVSU committee that's being formed to?
Well, Sean Marie had it as a committee from the SVSU board, but it wasn't a board committee. It was more representatives of the way she described it that night on December 10th, I believe. It was, in fact, she even talked to two parents about being the representatives, to have a meeting of all of that group of professionals with those two parents to start to look at some of the issues and start to look at ideas about how to address them. And as I said, I was asked to personally take it on by the board chair, but I also wanted to myself because of the importance of it, and then got delayed by personnel issues.
So are there board members on it?
No, she had not appointed any board members to it. So we can bring that up at the
That needs to be brought up at SVSU.
Yeah,
and
we can.
CSD needs to have a representative on it.
Sure.
Ken, I think, in fact, I'd like to suggest that on every agenda that we build at BSD for the next year, that we put down and have a report at every meeting on where we're going with special education and these programs. I think it should be a line item
A
on the
standing
agenda.
agenda item.
And that we speak to it at every meeting and get an update. And I don't think you need a motion on that.
No.
No, you don't. And as you know, Jackie, a year ago, had asked that we have instructional items on every agenda, and that's easy enough to do. And special ed can be one as well itself.
Jackie, I'll take that back for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll probably email Sean Marie anyways.
Yeah, you should tell you're interested in this.
Thank you,
Wish I
Kathy.
could share more with you, but obviously I have to keep investigative processes confidential. So I've given you what I can in public.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to also, Claude, I understand you're going to be on the policy committee again?
Yes.
Okay, if you are, would you please look at personnel policy number 435 regarding the conflict of interest in hiring? I do think the conflict of interest policy needs to be changed to accommodate situations that may be perhaps appear to be a conflict of interest, even without direct supervisory overseeing. And I guess I can put that, in this particular situation, there may have been a conflict of interest, but it doesn't pertain to hiring. It pertains to the methodology, I guess, in regards to our special needs programming. And when we have in this particular light, we may have paraprofessionals or others. It's an indirect maybe conflict, but I think it could be looked at to look across the board as opposed to just hiring, but maybe throughout district-wide, not just the hiring process. And I'm not sure if you can understand what I'm saying, but I'm trying to say it without saying it.
I got you loud and clear.
I think I can clarify. The conflict of interest policy we have is a conflict of interest among board members. And I think what you're saying is we also need conflict of interest among other areas like personnel.
Right, you have
Okay,
one
I
that exists
understand.
for hiring,
Right.
but it doesn't affect situations that may come up, such unique ones, and maybe that's a little.
I understand, and I can work
State of
with
Vermont,
Claude on that.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, is there a presentation? No, not
No.
this, no, okay, thank
You know, we wanted to thank Lori Cohen for her service on the
Yes,
school board.
this afternoon, I delivered to her husband at his office a commendation form from the Vermont School Board Association, thanking her for 6 years for service representing the people of Bennington. So, he really appreciated it, said Lori will appreciate it as well. Okay, financial report. First, the treasurer's report, which we sent to us by Renee today in the mail. Kelly, you're going to have to give your name, your address, your cell phone, your email and all this stuff, because a lot of the communication comes through email and stuff like that, okay?
It's all done.
And I'm going to need it, I'm going to send it up for Vermont School Board Association, because they send out information every so often to all members, so you'll be kept up to date on that. Okay, treasurer's report, any questions on that? Renee says she can't make this evening's meeting, that she will come in April. And if we do have any questions on this, you're free to call her. Her phone number is up here at the top of the letterhead. Okay, can we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second. Questions? Okay, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. Budget status, Rick has included that. That was on the internet. And again, if you have any questions on any specifics, Rick is always, like he says, he's always open. He's got his phone number. Just give him a call and he'll answer the questions as best as he can. Okay, old business, future enrollment planning.
Ken,
Yes.
I don't know if it belongs under number 5, and I have not discussed this with only one other board member, but I would say that in view of our budget defeat, I would like to at least discuss putting our building plans on hold, and that we not spend any more money on an addition to the Bennington Elementary School at the present time, and that we also see what we can recoup of the money that we approved, that the board approved, for continued architectural plans. I won't make a motion until I hear from the other board members, but I am going to make a motion and have it either voted yes or no at the end of this discussion. So what I'm saying is, I think building plans at the present time should be put on hold, and I'd like that discussion at this point.
Anybody?
You're talking about future expansion building
He's talking about
plans.
the addition to Bennington
Addition,
Elementary.
I think that was pretty loud and clear that the
Yeah.
voters aren't looking for increases in those options.
Yeah, because we do have, or we just had that contract with the architects, but I assume that we can pay them for the work that they've done and recoup the balance. And Rick has put, what, 20, 30,000 for the first payment in their budget that just went down? interest payments?
Yeah, there was an interest.
Yeah, so that could be also deleted as a help, to recoup money plus.
Right, but that, first of all, you don't need to recoup anything. I mean, you authorized an expenditure up to, I
28.
think it was 36,000, whatever the number was. If the board acts positively on what appears to be a motion that's soon to be made, I will inform the architects that, we need to stop working at this point in time, and we'll pay them what we owe them.
Okay.
But we haven't paid them anything else, so there's nothing to recoup. It's
Okay.
still in our coffers.
All right, okay.
That's this year's money. That doesn't affect next year's budget. And there is money in next year's budget under board consultants for anticipated architect's fees. We can, we can reduce that number or eliminate that number. But I just don't want there to be any confusion that, the money that we're gonna stop now is this year's money. It does not affect next year's budget.
Okay, I misspoke. Okay, thank you. Is there anybody that feels strongly the other way that the project should continue after seeing the votes? No? Okay, George, why don't you make your motion?
My motion is that we put the building program on hold pending our review and study of all the other options that the board has in front of it. I just don't want to proceed on this one alone, moving this one to the forefront. So my motion is to put it on hold, temporarily put it on hold.
I would second that.
Okay, second. And you're authorizing the Rick here
Yeah,
to
further
get in
okay.
contact with the architect and
To
put it on hold.
negotiate with the architect right.
Stop the project. Yes, Rick?
We're under comments?
Yep.
Just so everyone understands and the public is aware, in my opinion, and I would like Paul and/or Claude to weigh in as well, because they've attended some of those meetings. If this is a positive action, that the money we have spent today isn't in vain. I mean, there's some good data that has come out of that, and some good information that's come out of that. And even if it gets rolled up and put on a shelf for 2, 3, 5 years, at some point in the near future, the way the delivery of education is going, whether there's a bubble or not, we're probably going to need some sort of expansion at all of the facilities. The work that's been done to date, I don't think is wasted. I think it would be valuable, and it wouldn't take much to pick it up in the future.
Right, I guess I will comment to that, and I think you're right in the sense that the things that were identified and the discussions that were had and the way it was being laid out, that is something that will, is a good foundation, a starting point to kick back off from. At the same time, I think that you're right, it's not just that incoming population that we gotta have space for, it's space in general, so that discussion is going to come up again, regardless of the number of kids coming in and out, because we have issues within our schools that we need to address it at some point in time, and I think it will be a starting point and part of the solution. So I don't think it was wasted.
No, neither.
Okay.
Call the question.
Okay, all in favor of the ceasing the project? Raise your hands. Okay, unanimous. Thank you, George, for that.
Okay.
Okay, Rick passed out a sheet that we had worked on, I think, last week before, and he updated the information entitled BSD Future Enrollment Planning.
Yeah,
Which side would you like to start with?
Well, I'd say now return to the back side where it has some red letters on it.
Yep.
Just so you know, under build new space, I will put hold on that based on the action that just took place. We've identified the consolidation that was already taking place under Act 153. Kelly will explain that to you later. Got it. And I can't remember the rationale that the board used last time, but they removed the last one from consideration.
Because of all the red problems, remember, no one wants it.
So if you go back to the front side, administrative team of the principals, Donna Leap, myself, Kathy Buck, on part of the conversations related to special ed, have had various conversations in work sessions around the integrating the fifth grade into the middle school, leasing of the soccer facility, leasing of the middle school facility. There's a lot of work going on there. We've done some preliminary analysis on some of those. Some look more promising than others to us. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of detail. That we haven't had a lot of time since our last meeting, but we did say we'd give you an update. We haven't looked at any of the pros and cons. Those are just kind of brainstormed from a few meetings ago. I probably should have left them off of this report, so please ignore those. The most time that we've spent is the first one on the backside, grow the class sizes. As you all know, that from a space standpoint, where we have the capacity for next year for our projected enrollment for next year. It's in FY15 that the issue comes. We are looking at what those class sizes would be if we stay within the physical confines of our 3 existing buildings we have now. We've spent a great deal of time of that. Most of the time we've spent is on the second analysis subject, which is a projection of class sizes. We felt, even though we finished that one analyticals, we feel that it's more important that we give you the entire picture rather than just a little picture at a time. So we didn't bring anything to show you for that. There is clearly some class size pressures that are taking place in 15, and I believe, help me administrators or principals, but I think it shows even worse in 16 as we anticipated. But we'll keep going. This is going to be a regular agenda item. Hopefully this will, the second meeting of the month, whenever you can determine to set that. Although we'll probably get sidetracked a little bit because we're going to have to put a budget together for FY 14, but we'll keep working on this, and hopefully we'll have some good data for you to react to the next couple of months.
Thank you, yes.
Rick, has a letter been sent as pertaining to the motion that we made at the last meeting to Mount Anthony about the 2 things that we wanted to have answers on?
I asked for the superintendent's office to take care of that. I do not know. Donna, do you know the result?
That letter been sent, Catherine?
She just walked out.
Donna, do you know?
I do not know.
Well, if not, do I need to make a motion that I get that thing
No.
off dead center and
think-
get it sent?
I'm not sure if it's absolutely been sent, but Sean Marie did talk to me about they are going to look at it.
But have we they were asking for a formal request.
She said
You don't
that
need to,
we have
you don't need to make
requested.
another motion if it hasn't happened. Donna will make sure that
Sean
it
Marie
does
knows
happen.
about it.
Yeah, Sean Marie told me
I'll follow up on
that
that.
they will be looking at it, George.
All right?
So I'm assuming she
Two-
got one.
2 specific things that we asked.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. That's it, Rick? Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry, can I?
Yep.
The leasing of the space of the soccer facility, just to give you an update there. There will soon be some significant activity, I think as early as starting tomorrow. Is that right, Jim, starting tomorrow? As I think you all know, or maybe, I guess Kelly might not know, we've hired, or I have created, for lack of a better description, a safety team. We've hired Bob Kalinowski, a retired state trooper, And I've directed Jim Marsden and Jerry Prue to join him to inspect every building within our district and look at the security concerns and make recommendations for the buildings. I've expanded that to also the soccer facility across the street, because that's going to be a key component, is for us to be able to secure those students if we put anybody over there. And I realize that's still a big if. There's a lot of information that we need to gather before we can even begin to think if that's a possibility. And then the building team that was working on the construction project is going to do a walkthrough or two over there as well. And so a lot of things is going to start to happen around that option to ferret out whether that's a viable option or not.
Mr. McLeod didn't get back to you yet?
I have not seen or heard anything yet, no.
All right. I think everybody understands that the building committee, facilities did take a tour, and our people are gonna come up with some recommendations, and the building inspector's gonna come up, and then that's where the starting point will be on that project. Okay. Personnel, none. The consent agenda, no. Shelley, the consent agenda comes up at every meeting, and what it is, it's a list of the minutes from the former meeting, the previous meeting. It's the warrants, which Rick hand carries, and basically it's every bill that we have, except payroll, that you can go through anytime. It's sent to you on the internet, so you can take a while and go through, see what each bill is, how much it's for, and so forth. And if you have any questions on any of the bills, why is it, what do we get that bill for, what are we buying, just call Rick up, or you can wait till the meeting and ask. Either way is acceptable. If we're hiring anybody new, the names will be there with a background of that individual, whether it's going to be a teacher, a para, a custodian, whatever, it'll be a whole background of that person. Again, you can ask questions about that person if you have. And field trips, anything like that. It's one, instead of discussing 7 or 8 different items, we put it all on the consent agenda. You always have it ahead of time. Sometimes there's a real emergency hire or something. Catherine hand carries that at the meeting, and she'll explain the reason why, but normally we'll get all that stuff ahead of time, all right? Okay, we have the consent agenda, and again, all of this was sent on the,
So moved.
okay, we have a motion to accept the consent agenda. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second, Marie? Any questions?
Yeah,
Yes. Paul.
just a discussion on the field trip request. I don't think I got the gist of what was in here. This is a 5-day trip for the 5th grade, the field trip request? That was put in?
4 day.
4 days?
Is it Nature's Classroom?
Yeah.
Nature's Classroom?
Nature's Classroom.
Yes, it is a 5-day trip. It is an overnight trip. 5th graders in our district have gone on it before. Monument Elementary School 5th grade students are combining their efforts with Woodford. And the Woodford principal has been taking the lead and working closely with our 5th grade teacher and myself in regards to the funds, securing the funds for children. Do you have specific questions?
We've done this, I just don't remember seeing one like this over the last year, one of,
Yes, we did, Paul.
Yes.
we did? Okay.
Yes,
Bennington
because I was the
Elementary.
No,
driver.
yeah, 2 years ago, Bennington Elementary went, I know my granddaughter was on it, and the principal from Woodford wrote up a grant, and it covered the 2 Bennington sections and a few from Woodford, the whole school went, and it's tremendous. They teach the kids responsibility, and they come back, they have a great time. No communication with home, no emails, none of this stuff. It's really a maturing.
All supervised,
Yeah, it's a
Paul.
maturing activity where the kids are only thinking about what they're doing, they forget basically about home, and I think it's a great learning experience for the kids.
Kids went on it. It was looking good.
And Woodford's been
And it's a
nice, they've been
fundraiser.
taking the lead on this.
Say that again?
Not a fundraiser.
Is there, no, I
They
mean,
raise funds.
they raise funds to,
We are raising funds. We are actually doing numerous service learning projects. The 5th graders are involved in it. They've written their letters themselves to ask for support through the community. They've been doing service learning projects such as working at McDonald's. We've had another one at, I think there's another McDonald's coming up, but they're also looking at fundraising within our school, helping our younger children out. They have a whole host of service learning projects to do.
okay.
It's really a good project. It really is a good trip.
We also
It sounds like a great, I mean, it sounds like a great adventure, and I just didn't know where it stemmed from, and is it something that goes throughout the entire district, or how did it get
Well, actually,
selected
Deanna
to?
Donzo is the fifth grade teacher at Bennington Elementary School formerly, so she's been on the trip and has brought her students before, so she has great knowledge about the trip. And really, the principal at Woodford's willingness to really combine efforts with her has been very helpful. And they've even received a discount for a first time at Monument Elementary School attending the trip. So they're receiving a pretty big discount in the amount per child.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. Thank you. Okay, committee reports. I see none here. Is there any committee reports? Anybody have any technology, food service? No? All right, none. Okay, policies. We've got two policies. The drafting committee, for your information. And we have a bullying prevention policy to adopt. Can we have a motion to adopt policy 5003, bullying prevention?
Oh,
Okay, Marie motions,
yes.
Claude seconds. Any discussion on it? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. Okay, Chair's report. The only thing I have is on April 9th, Tuesday, April 9th, Vermont School Board Association Director will be coming down to the Bennington here, one of our schools, and he'll be doing a presentation for all new board members and refresher for the veteran board members on what it is, roles, responsibilities to be a school board member. So it would be nice if everybody would put that on their calendar. Tuesday, April 9th. Usually it starts about 5 o'clock. There's a meal served 5 to 6, and then 6 to 8. There's a presentation with answers and so forth. It's been held at the large room at the CDC before, and sometimes people from Manchester come down, and sometimes Arlington and the other. They try to combine it, not just one school district. So
Where is it
make
going to be
them larger.
located?
CDC,
Ken?
Huh?
CDC.
Is that the CDC?
No, I don't know where it is yet, but once I find out, I'll let you know. But I just want you to put that date aside, and we'll get that. Okay? Okay, now, under others, I think it's time that we discuss the budget defeat that we just had yesterday, and we have to get some strategies on how we're going to move forward with the budget.
Ken, I've been quoted in the press as saying that I think our first option should be to go back to the supervisory union, but I don't think we should hold our breath on what we're going to get out of the supervisory union, because we can, I think we should go there.
Yes.
But I also think that we're going to have to take a serious look at our budget, and I would ask our administrators even to start going down through there, taking a second and third look at it. One of the items, though, that has come up since the election yesterday, and visiting a couple of coffee shops today, was something that maybe Rick or the central office could enlighten me on, and that is this. I'm convinced that one of the reasons that we lost our budget was because of the assessment that we got from the supervisory union. I want to find out, or I'd like some information, or someone to tell me, is it possible that the community could vote on the supervisory union budget also? Now, maybe legally, there's a reason why we can't, but I can tell you that a lot of people in Bennington that I've talked to are fuming over that assessment, as we are also. Yet, the only ones that can vote on the supervisory union budget are those people that have been voted onto that board. Communities that make up all of the Southwest Vermont Supervisory Union have no say on that budget. And I'm completely convinced if they did, that it would have been a different outcome. I'm not saying that that alone did it, but I can tell you that that was a driving factor in our defeat.
Yeah, well, you know, the state legislature over the last few years has required districts to take all their sped programs, dollars and monies from all their schools and combine them and put them in a supervisory union. And again, that's why the budget itself grew so much. But again, as you said, the regular taxpayer doesn't. And sometimes they tell me that the reason you can't vote on that is because they're not a taxing type of group, the SVSU. They can't own property and they can't collect taxes. But I think it seems like that's the same definition of the CDC, where they don't collect taxes. They take their budget and enroll it right in with the Mount Anthony budget, and then the people vote on the Mount Anthony budget, and then Mount Anthony collects it. But they do vote on the CDC budget.
Behind you,
Is Catherine here?
behind you.
Oh, Catherine,
I move,
is there some legal reason that you know of, or can we get some
get
information
information.
on that?
Yeah, I think Rick may be able to answer that question more, as he's been in the finance field for a longer time in the state than I have been. But certainly we can also get more information about it. I know it's been a continuing discussion over the years in the state of Vermont.
Yeah, it's been discussed numerous times at the state legislature. The logic is that you'd be voting on, people would vote on it twice. They would vote on it for the SU and they vote on it again for the BSD and all the other districts. So it's, double jeopardy, some people have called it. The difference between the CDC, and I'm not saying that they can't form it such for the SU to work similar, the difference between the CDC is even though Mount Anthony raises the taxes for the CDC, the vote that gets warned from Mount Anthony is only the Mount Anthony portion. The CDC has to warn their portion, and then they get combined from a tax rate standpoint to raise the taxes. Now, the legislature could structure something like that, I don't know what the assessments in your budgets are probably $3 million or something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, theoretically, the legislature could structure a bill that BSD would warn 10 million, SVSU would warn its
Sure.
budget, and then your 3 million share would get raised through your taxes. But right now, as the legislation is written, or as the statute is written, the SVSU board adopts that budget, that gets placed into your budget, just like it is now, and some in the legislature would argue that if what you're saying is correct, it worked. Because if people voted that down because of the SU assessments, then they had a chance to reject your portion of the SU budget. The complication is, all the other towns approved their portion of the SU budget.
See,
And we can't go
let-
back.
Let me argue or give you my
You don't have
thinking.
to argue with me, I'm just
No, no.
I'm just stating
See,
the facts.
Here's what happens. I mentioned earlier that we are going to go, your representatives will go back to the supervisory union, and I told them when we adopted the budget that we would come back and ask for relief. However, I've been around long enough to know that they'll listen to our plea, and then we'll be properly outvoted. Now, I pick up the point. We represent roughly 70% of the total supervisory union budget. But when we sit at that supervisory union meeting, we're going to have 2 votes versus all the other districts around us. So I think that if there's a law that says we can't do it, then I think it's time that we ask our legislators to maybe look at that and revise a way that we can do it, because this is only going to get worse each year from here on in. I just don't see any way around it.
I just need to correct a couple of things. So
Yeah.
I don't want people getting
No,
confused out
It's
there.
all right.
And it's complicated, and I know, and I apologize for that, but BSD is only roughly 26% of the SVSU. Ultimately, through MAU,
Yeah,
ultimately, the BSD taxpayers will pay
that's right.
roughly 70% of that bill. But
70%.
I just don't want.
Yeah, I know, I get you.
I just don't want the misunderstanding to think, and the other reality is, of that SVSU budget, roughly 80% of that is special needs. And 20% is administration, for lack of a better description. Of the 80% special needs, you have direct control over those dollars. You say, at this board level, I want 100 sped teachers, I want 200 paras, SVSU put them in the budget. I have not ever witnessed a time where a board has said, BSD, why are you doing that in your sped? Everyone just pretty much lets everybody's sped costs be whatever they choose them to be. I don't want the thought or the impression to be that if you open up the SU and then the SU agrees to open it up, and even if they make significant cuts in that 20%, its final effect as it boils down to your tax rate or to your budget is going to be minor. The sped portion of that budget is where the majority of those dollars are. And I can't stress that enough. I'm just
However-
stating a fact.
However, there are areas in the supervisory union budget away from what you said that can be cut.
Oh, I never said there wasn't.
Yeah, and
I mean, I don't
That's-
think I don't think I said or
Yeah.
implied. I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
I could cut, hypothetically, I could cut $500,000. Someone's gonna help me do the math here real quick. I shouldn't have used that
and we
number.
may be looking at that and a little more.
No, but, I mean, if I cut $500,000,
Yeah.
that's gonna translate into roughly $125,000 to BSD, which is maybe 1% on your budget. So you drop it from 19% to 18%. I'm not saying there's nothing, I'm not
Yeah.
saying you can't cut money.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't want you to sit at this table, and I don't want the public to believe that without touching staff, either at the sped area or at your regular staff area in your budgets, that you're gonna be able to cut any significant amount of money.
Oh,
Now, I don't know where you guys are heading, what you're thinking about
Yeah.
for cuts. But I just don't want the conversation to believe that, if you could cut the administration in half, and it's not gonna be that big of an impact on your budget.
Well, we know that 18% won't go. So with that in mind, that's what we have to do.
Catherine?
I just wanted, again, and Rick can help explain this, but I just want people to realize that the reimbursements we get to assist with special education costs, that revenue is not credited to the SU against the expenditures, it's to the local districts. So that makes it more complicated to understand the increase at the SU, because it could be offset by that revenue, but that revenue is actually going to you, which does help you. That's another complicator, and I'd just like to, just so there's no confusion too, I know that there's been a lot of discussion about this, but because we're gonna have special ed on the agenda each time, we might be able to spend a little more time than tonight to look at the process, because while you have control over those dollars, we know that that these are individual educational plans that are formulated by educational teams looking out for the free and adequate, free and appropriate education for children with disabilities, to help them access regular curriculum and improve their skills. It's not extra that goes beyond the regular ed. It's to help access or accommodations to assist them in their learning in the regular classroom, as well as increasing their skills. And so it's an important area, and you can decide how many paras you have, how many teachers is decided, but there's also that other factor. So we can spend more time as we go through each meeting discussing that, but it's not just the whim of the board or the decision of the board on what gets put into the special ed budget, although you can decide numbers of teachers, numbers of paras and things like that.
The increase of cost to the taxpayers is directly caused by cuts in federal and state
Yes.
funding, right?
Part of it, yeah.
Part of it.
That's a piece of it.
Because I know at UCS, we're facing some of the same things, the cutting for developmentally disabled, and
Yeah,
and it's not gonna get prettier next year.
and at your next board meeting, I will dust off those numbers, you know, and I'm guessing half of that next meeting is gonna be budget, and half is gonna be future planning. So, and I'll
should
dust
be.
off those and bring those back to you, to show you what, how much of the cuts you are experiencing, and where those show in your budget.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ken.
Would you like us to give you a target number or something like that, Rick, so you can start working, or what's your pleasure on that?
I'm gonna need some direction.
What is the rule about revoting? Is it like you have to wait so many days before you
Gotta
can?
warn it.
How does
So
that work?
I've got a little bit of information. I don't have, it's my first experience in losing a budget, so I'm not, it wasn't on my fingertips or the tip of my tongue or the front of my mind of how to do this, but, you know, in looking through the statutes and understanding, it appears that, you have a little more flexibility as far as timelines.
Correct.
As I read it, it boils down to basically 7 days. You have to warn an informational floor meeting with 5 days' notice, and then you have to have your vote 2 days after that floor meeting. Or I guess it might be within 2 days, so maybe it could be as little as 6 days.
But there's nothing like you have to be back to the people within 30 days or something, no, okay.
So, I mean, you know, if you're going to the SU, obviously, that's going to complicate the timeline a little bit. But it appears that there's enough flexibility. My suggestion would be that we should do a budget process. When you guys are comfortable with the budget process, we can then warn something and within the next 5 to 10 days, have a vote. But
We have to come to
Mayor.
some kind of agreement,
Yeah.
whether we're gonna wanna raise our class numbers.
Yeah?
Because we have a policy.
So what you're saying is really it's between now and June.
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't get that deep into the statute, but there is a statute that if you don't have a budget by July 1, you're forced to live with,
2/3.
So we've got
I think.
April and May really to dig into this thing.
right.
No longer.
Well, and let me just tell you, there's multiple complications, largely through the collective bargaining agreement. And, I don't want to get too deep into it until you guys, I mean, if you tell me to cut $10, we'll solve this tomorrow, but I don't think that's what you're going to tell me to do. My guess is we're going to have to do some work, and there's a risk that maybe that vote still doesn't pass. So we're going to have to probably do some riffing of teachers in preparation of not knowing what that budget's going to be.
Well, in view of that, would it not be smart if our next board meeting, we cut the agenda down to spend it on budget?
Well,
In other
that's-
words,
That's our main, we're supposed to have 2 meetings a month, and the
Yeah.
second one basically is gonna be the budget and the,
Future plan.
And we
Future
really
planning.
have to talk about the future planning
yeah, right.
to do the budget.
So that's
Because
that's
some
it,
of that
right,
inf-
for our next meeting,
'Cause
and
if we're gonna have larger
no,
classes, we
SVSU
need to
meets
know
on the
that now.
20th.
Right, and that's some of the information we need to know on there.
The SVSU meets
Yeah.
on the last Wednesday of the month, which I believe
I
is
was,
the
I was gonna
22nd.
recommend the third Monday, to try to stay on the first and third theory, but I didn't wanna go to a Wednesday, so I was gonna do the third Monday, but
the 18th.
that was the only logic I had, but.
Because the third Wednesday is MAU and policy and Palmo.
I thought there was a switch. Did they switch it to make it work like
They
that?
already did, yeah.
Okay.
So SVSU is the fourth Wednesday.
27th then.
Right.
okay.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Okay, so what, we can warn
What's the meeting date?
The first Monday, we're,
I suggested the third Monday.
18th,
I don't know what that date is.
Monday, the 18th.
Third Monday would be
March.
18th.
Just gotta make
And that would be at central office, right?
That'd be my preference.
Because then you got all the equipment there.
Yeah. Okay,
I think we should reach out somehow and ask, the community to come to these budget meetings and tell us where they think
That's a good
we
idea.
failed.
That's a good idea.
How do we reach out?
Hi, Patrick. Hi, Dawson.
Awesome.
I reach out by going to the coffee shop.
Well, I can't go to the coffee house. I mean, we should invite them,
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you know, maybe
People interested in the budget.
an article in the paper, a letter.
So the people that are cornering George at the coffee house, he should invite to the
all
meeting.
right.
Right.
I mean, the public's welcome to any one of these meetings. They're always welcome, right, they're always
Yeah, I
welcome.
know.
You get an
I
earful.
don't know how to,
Okay, do you,
I don't know.
Hopefully it
Rick,
is
do
recorded,
you
but-
think it's too early now to give you some type of guidance to look at stuff?
Well, it would be guidance to all of the administrators, as
know,
far as looking at.
So we would give to Rick, and then he would distribute what he's looking for from all the principals or
It's the
teachers.
it's the board's pleasure. I mean, we, you know,
No, you know what I'm saying is, should we wait the
I can-
18th to do that, or you want to get
I can
rolling
go,
on it?
I can go through here and, you know, nickel and dime a bunch of things that maybe find you 1.5% of this 19% increase.
I think,
We need to have a
No.
discussion about this.
If you're,
Yeah.
if you're,
Growing class size.
I think you
you're-
should wait till the 18th.
if you're telling me that you want me to be at 3%, I'd rather know today, because I got a lot of work to do.
Well,
And
3%?
The principals have a lot of work to do.
Right. That's-
What's that?
3% isn't undoable.
You just
I'm
talked.
obviously framing the conversation.
Well, I just want to make sure that you know that that's undoable.
If you want, if you want me to get to 17%,
More than that.
that's a different conversation.
Rick,
I'm assuming you're somewhere in between those two numbers.
9.9.
where does the increase end at with, because obviously we know we have special needs, and we gotta be careful as to how we go through this and stuff. With all of the change that happened, where do we automatically fall at for an increase with the way funding changed and all that in the special education? Do you know roughly? We had a 19% increase, but some of that increase was because of special ed because of funding from there. Where does that put us? Do you know roughly?
The federal cutback dollars, how much did that affect the 19%?
It was the majority of your increase. I don't dare put a number out, and I don't know if I could find it in a timely fashion on here, but it was the majority of your increase.
We can have it for the 18th?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he said he'd bring that on the 18th.
Okay. 18th's gonna be a big meeting.
Hey, you
So
didn't
do you want
have
some
to do your job tonight.
numbers now or not?
No.
It would be more productive.
Yeah, again, that would be a target that you would want the administrators as a team to look at, and certainly Rick's assistance.
You know, see if you can get it, I know it'd be hurt, but 9.9. Because everybody I've talked to said they wanted below double digits.
Well, I think that's where it's important to know where,
Yeah,
where
he'll
do
bring
we
us back a
automatically
list.
fall? I mean, we may have a 10% increase just because of loss in funding.
Well, what I would do is, as we've done in the past, we'll show you.
Same
So
number.
in order
But I mean,
to,
you're giving them a target without knowing some of the information.
No, he's gonna come back and say, to get to this point, this is what you'd have to eliminate. It doesn't lock anybody into anything. It just gives us to see what it would cost us to get to that point.
I'm gonna say, you know, trying to think of something stupid so I don't identify anything, but, oil. We're gonna put it $1 a gallon instead of $4 a gallon. Assume someone's gonna say, that's not gonna work.
You're right.
20,000
You know, but that's what I'll do, I'll give you that, I'll show you that menu of how we get to that point. And then you're gonna be able to say, that's not gonna work, okay, I'll take that one, nope, I don't like that one. And that's just the best way, that's the best way I know to attack the thing.
And one of the things may be something like putting 24 in a class.
At the upper grades.
Yeah, fourth, third, fourth, and fifth, say 24.
Oh,
We already had that.
I just just want
Really?
you to know, to get below 10%, there will be staff cuts.
Yeah,
I don't,
well, we gotta see what it is.
then you guys can decide whether you
Probably to
like
get
them.
below 15% is gonna be staff cuts.
And to get below 15, generically, you would likely not be funding any of the federal funds that you lost. Those wouldn't technically be staff cuts, but I guess they would be.
Gotta see
At
what it was.
one level or another, they would be, yeah. But from the BSD, right now, they're at the SU staff, and because you lost those federal funds, you're growing the BSD staff to make up for the loss of the federal dollars, so.
Have them show it to
Okay,
us. Show us,
Is that the target the board wants?
yeah,
Yes, Rick.
we can work back.
let's look at it.
And we're set for the
18th,
18th?
What time?
7, 6? You think we should be at 6 to get started early? Yeah, wait, can we start at 6?
Yep.
Yes,
So, yeah, we'll start at 6. Can you make it, Paul,
Kelly,
on
is that
6?
gonna be good for you?
Okay, yeah, on the 6th.
6 o'clock?
The 18th?
Yeah, Monday, the 18th, 6 PM at central office.
I have one other, Ken.
Yep.
One other, if you don't mind. And it's really to Kelly, it's my annual invitation, and although you're gonna get a baptism by fire on the finances, I extend an invitation to all new board members, to come in, spend about an hour with me, and, I'm not saying you'll walk out of there, a genius in school finances, but I think you'll have a better understanding of how some of the things flow. Just call my assistant Lori at 753-5840,
Do we have the executive session?
and she'll schedule a time.
Litigation.
And it might be fruitful for you to help you work on the 18th if it's possible to get in before.
Can you tell us about this? too?
Basis.
Remember you said there was-
And anyone else is obviously welcome to sit in on that as well. Hopefully Marie and Paul and
You don't want us all at the
those
same
that have
time,
done
do
it,
you?
those that have done it in the past found it
Yep.
somewhat helpful.
Okay, task list review?
yes, I have it.
That's what you're supposed to do.
So, continuing task item, one with urgency would be to set the group discussion with the parents that had come to the SU and the SD board regarding the students with complex needs. We have a standing agenda item that we're adding to the agenda, and I would suggest that at your next meeting, there will be that special education standing agenda item will be embedded in your budget and future planning discussions. We've got the communication to the SBSU board about the SBSU budget and how that might relate to your budget reconsideration. And then the next meeting is Monday, the 18th,
Okay, thank you.
at
Could you,
6 o'clock at the central office.
when you communicate with Sean Marie,
I will.
please ask her not to be at the meeting of the 27th, a discussion of should we open up the budget for exploration, because that means we wouldn't do it for another month if they decide. I mean, we need action at that meeting.
Point of clarification, as you know, the SU has had a request from North Bennington to open it anyway. So there is a subcommittee working with the Prudential Committee representatives to look at that. I believe, we already have a request to look at it, so
Okay.
it won't be.
Yeah, no, because for time's sake, I mean, if there's some savings there for us,
I understand.
we'd appreciate it, not waiting an extra month on top of that. Okay, thank you. Okay, can we have a motion to go in executive session for litigation
So
And
moved.
personnel.
and personnel, I'm sorry.
And I don't know if you want to touch base on the negotiation or the contract, too? Is that, can I fit that
Would
in?
you like to give an
Yeah,
update?
just-
And
So when we go
negotiations,
into-
contract.
Oh, and negotiation with the
Going.
paras, all right.
So executive
All in
session.
favor of going to executive session?
Who's there?
Unanimous.